I've just got a brief discussion about, it's been all over the news, but I've got the things that are salient for small business owners on the Inflation Reduction Act. So we'll take this away. So um, I use this in a post. Is it the light at the end of the tunnel, or is it a train? And you can make your own decision by seeing what what is. Let's see, how do I shift my? It's not. Oh, there we go. By telling what the law is. So it's a really interesting law, and one of the things in there has really never been done here before in the United States. So it might be the train. It could be the tax man with a horde of IRS agents on board, bearing down on you, and this will be really interesting. So, and another preface here at Power and Performance Coaching, it's not about politics. It's about how do we survive all the things that are going on. It's insights, like how do you operate your business better from some of the things we show you. I think the key thing about the Inflation Reduction Act that's going to be difficult for we small business people is that it has nothing to do with inflation. So the other thing that I'm concerned about is the U.S. government's going to spend approximately $800 billion. Now, it's going to take them a while to do that. They're setting these new things. But if you remember when we pumped out the $7 trillion, we had some government economists saying we weren't going to have inflation because of that. That didn't work out so well. So, but this money's going to a few people, probably, people that the congressmen know, and so maybe it won't be as great an inflationary impact, but it seems to me that printing another $800 billion and spending it on Medicare and climate change probably might make the situation worse with inflation. The thing that's most problematic for us small business people is they're going to spend $8 billion a year for 87,000 IRS agents. The current budget of the IRS is 12 to 13 billion a year. So this puts it in perspective how much money they're throwing at the fact that they want to come after you and make sure your tax return is the way they want it. Now, the problem with tax returns is it's not a science, it's an art. You give 10 preparers the information, you probably get 10 different taxable incomes out of it. So it's going to be an interesting environment if this does happen and does get off the ground. It's going to take a while. But we're already seeing, as you know, I'm a CPA, and we're already seeing a change in the attitude at the IRS. And we've been through this before. In the Clinton years, the IRS took a very adversarial relationship with business. And we're already seeing some things that Congress has passed that the IRS is denying. Easement credits, R&D credits, employment retention credits, things that are in the law. They're debating whether the things you spend on that are valid or not and rejecting them. And the problem with the process is when the IRS rejects it, and even if they lose in tax court, you can't get the attorney's fees. So that's a problem, and we're looking at that. The other thing that was curious that was in this bill, it's not a large increase, but they increased the excise tax on oil, which I thought was really interesting. It's the Inflation Reduction Act, but they're going to increase what oil costs us, and we're already traumatized over what happened there. Now, I guess the price of gasoline's dropped for 50 some odd days in a row, but still, I don't understand increasing the excise tax and making the cost of energy more expensive for everybody that uses energy in their business. Supposedly, they're going to reduce the deficit by $300 billion. I've heard this in several other major tax bills over the last few decades, and I've yet to see that happen. The biggest impact does not impact us small business owners directly, but is probably going to have a really large effect on us indirectly. This 15% minimum tax on book income, there's only 150 corporations in the US that have $1 billion or more in book income. So they're really singling out the largest businesses in the country who kind of drive everything, the Coca-Colas and the UPSs and the Amazons and all this stuff. And they're saying, you know what, you may have filed your return correctly, but I want 15% on that line anyway. And what that means is they're now going to have to change how they operate, and we may see a ripple effect that'll make it harder on us that are further down the food chain from them. So just, be aware of that and of what's happening, because I think we're going to see some changes. If it got signed into law, So probably starting in early 23, this will go into effect and you'll start seeing those entities change. I'm not sure that this law can actually work because I don't know if you know, but most of our major corporations are not legally US corporations. And I know two of them that are having some issues. Microsoft books 47% of every sale in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a commonwealth, it's not a state, and they have their own legislature. And they gave Microsoft many years ago a tax holiday, and that's why Microsoft books 47% of their income there. That one will be easier for the US to squeeze because it's a commonwealth. But most other companies are based in places like, Ireland and these other tax havens, and I don't know how they're going to do that, but it may dramatically affect how they operate here in the US and affect us on a day-to-day basis. We'll just have to see where it goes. So what do we do about it? Well, the number one thing is to get your accounting in order. These are all, everything that's on this list is really something that should already be done, but it's going to become acute. It's going to become really important if we're going to have 87,000 additional auditors combing over everything to make sure they get what they want out of you. The other thing is to sharpen your sales effort. In an inflationary environment, I think that's important anyway, to make sure you're selling to the right customers, and that way you don't have any collection problems, and you increase your repeat business and do a lot of other things when you sharpen your sales effort. This one is kind of interesting. Nobody likes to talk about cash flow, but there's a way to structure your cash flow where inflation can actually become, I wouldn't say so much as a benefit, but you stay out in front of it. And there's a way to do that. And it's hard for people to wrap their brain around how you do that because it's an abstract way. I've dealt with many, many clients that just have a really hard time and they go, well, you just do it. Just do it for me. Well, we can do that. And we can show you the ways that you have to structure your cash flow to where it's in your favor. And then you're really on the edge of the inflation rather than always being a victim of it and it creating more pressure on your business. Another thing is to take advantage of all your accounting elections that you're allowed. But the downside of that is that could be interpreted different ways by the IRS if they're going to examine you. But all of them are legal and all of them are safe. If you sell tangible products, you should be using LIFO, different revenue recognition methods, use all the credits that are available. There are a lot of elections that you can use that will dampen the effect from inflation. The other thing now is to be prepared for additional taxes and regulations. There's two things that didn't happen in the Inflation Reduction Act, but they keep getting proposed by the Democratic Congress. One of them is a 3.8% excise tax on pass-through income. So if you have an LLC or a subchapter S, they were going to want 3.8% of your income off the top. And that's pretty big. If you're in the 20% bracket, that's a 25% increase. If you're in the 28% bracket, that's like about 15%. And if you're in the top bracket, which is 36%, that's more than a 10% increase in your tax bill. And that means you're then will have to affect how you run your business to come up with the same net you need to do your obligations. So be aware that this is out there and can be happening. It wasn't in there. Another one that's an indirect tax is they took out the paid family leave. Now, that's a tax directly on a small business owner if you have to keep paying employees for 30, 60, 90 days so that they can have their family leave. That one got out in the last minute. I think it was Senator Sienema from Arizona that to get her to vote for it, they had to take that one out and then the pass through. But they may bring it back. And since they've succeeded in this reconciliation process of adding this massive tax bill, it's really a massive tax bill, not an inflation reduction. That we need to be, as small business owners, we need to be prepared for that. So as a final comment here, so those are the things to look at and to prepare for. We have lots of resources for you, and they're all free. We have a tax attorney. So if you have a tax problem, we have Keith Cothrell available that if you get one of those nasty letters to have a free consultation about what to do with it. And we have stuff to help your sales process. You've now got Ryan on your hiring. You have Matt to know what people think of your business, both so that they become employees and become customers. And that consultation initially is free. So take advantage of these things, and they will help you get through this whole thing. And that draws to a conclusion our business freedom conversation here in August. We're going to have another one on September 14th, so prepare for that. And know that we're on YouTube, that you can view it 24 hours a day on YouTube. We break all the segments down so that you can search and just come to that one segment. And all of the live streams, newsletters, and everything else are up there as well. So if you do a search for a subject matter, you don't have to look at the whole thing. You can come up with a point that's important to you. So I want to thank Matt and Ryan for joining me today. I think it was really insightful. We, again, have a lot of problem-solving tools, and we have a lot of resources. Just get on the LinkedIn and take advantage of them. Thank you all for coming, and I appreciate all the time that you're taking. And we'll say adios until the next time.